Hello, the date is September 5th, 2025, and today we will talk about the economic earthquake that has shaken the foundation of the Indian economy. Understand, what has happened is that America has suddenly put a 50% tariff on goods coming from India. This is not a small decision, but an economic attack that has deeply shocked India's export-based industries. America has cited India's alleged protectionist policies and trade relations with Russia as reasons behind this move. But whatever the reason, its effect will directly fall on the millions of people whose livelihoods depend on exports. This is a storm that will not be limited to just the ports, but will reach the small factories and homes of workers in the interior parts of the country. Understand the importance of this decision by realizing that America is not just a buyer for India, but its biggest trading partner. Goods worth almost $50 billion from us land at American ports every year. Now imagine if the price of these goods suddenly increases by 50% overnight. Why would an American customer buy Indian goods when they can get the same thing cheaper from Vietnam, Bangladesh, or Mexico? This tariff is like a wall, which has become almost impossible for Indian exporters to cross. This is not just a trade loss, but a severe blow to trade relations built over decades of hard work. Its effect will not only be economic, but also geopolitical, which may force India to rethink its foreign policy. This tariff has come at a time when the Indian economy was already struggling with many challenges. Amidst the signs of global recession, inflationary pressure, and slow job creation, this decision is like rubbing salt in a wound. Experts are calling it a tariff tsunami because its effect will hit many sectors one after another like waves. Small and medium industries, which are the backbone of our economy, are not in a position to withstand this shock. For many companies, whose 70 to 80% business depended only on the American market, this has become an existential crisis. This is not just a game of numbers, but a question of the future of millions of families. The immediate effect of this economic bombardment has already started to show, but its long-term consequences can be even more terrible. This unilateral decision has broken the rules and trust of global trade. This is a sign of a new and dangerous wave of protectionism, where any big country can impose economic sanctions on any other country for its own interests. The challenge for India now is not just to recover from this crisis, but also to make its economy stronger and more self-reliant to avoid such shocks in the future. This crisis is a warning that the definitions of friendship and enmity are changing very rapidly in the arena of global trade. Now the question arises, who is being hit the hardest by this American tariff? The answer is our labor-intensive industries. These are the industries where human hands do more work than machines and which provide employment to millions of people. First, let's talk about the textile and apparel industry. India is one of the largest textile exporters in the world. T-shirts, jeans, and shirts made in cities like Tirupur, Ludhiana, and Noida sell well in American markets. But after the 50% tariff, American brands have started canceling their orders. This directly means that the factories where machines used to run day and night are now at risk of being shut down, and the hands of the artisans working there are becoming empty. The second big blow has been to the gems and jewelry industry. Diamonds and jewelry cut in Surat and Jaipur are a major source of foreign exchange for India. America is its biggest buyer. Now, after the 50% tariff, the shine of Indian jewelry has faded in the American market. A diamond that used to sell for 1 lakh will now cost the American customer 1.5 lakh. In such a situation, why would he buy from India? The millions of skilled artisans working in this sector, whose art is admired worldwide, are today worried about their future. This is not just a loss of business, but also a major attack on India's centuries-old art and craftsmanship. Similarly, the leather and footwear industry is also in the grip of this economic crisis. Leather products from Kanpur, Agra, and Chennai are known for their quality. A large part of the shoes, belts, and handbags made here are exported to America. A large number of people from Dalit and minority communities work in this industry, for whom it is a traditional source of employment. After the tariff hit, these factories have stopped receiving orders, which has halted production. This crisis is not just economic, but is also creating a deep social crisis, as it is affecting those communities the most who are already marginalized. The auto parts industry is also not untouched by this tariff fire. Engine parts, gearboxes, and other auto components made in India are widely used by American car companies. More than a quarter of our total auto parts exports go to America alone. Now, with a 50% tariff on this, it has become difficult for Indian manufacturers to compete. There is an atmosphere of concern in the auto hubs of Pune, Gurugram, and Chennai. News of production cuts has started coming, which will directly affect the engineers and laborers working there. This shows how deep the impact of tariffs is not only on traditional industries, but also on modern and technological sectors. When such large industries of the country are in crisis, it is natural for it to affect the entire economy. Economists are now rapidly changing their estimates for the country's GDP, or gross domestic product growth rate. Earlier, where we were expecting a growth rate of 6.5% to 7%, now most experts believe that if this tariff continues for a year, our GDP growth could see a direct drop of 0.7% to 0.8%. This means that our growth rate could fall to around 5.7%. Reputable agencies like Care Ratings and HSBC are also making similar estimates. This drop may sound small, but it means billions of dollars in economic loss. This is not just a game of numbers, it has a direct connection to the lives of common people. A drop in GDP growth means less production, less investment, and most importantly, fewer jobs in the country. Export-dependent cities like Tirupur, Surat, Moradabad, and Panipat, also known as export towns, are on the verge of desolation today. The entire economy of these cities depends on exports. If foreign orders don't come, how will the factories run? It is estimated that millions of jobs are at risk, directly and indirectly, due to this crisis. The laborers who left their villages to earn a living in these cities are now forced to return. This is a human crisis that cannot be measured in numbers. Small and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, are bearing the brunt the most. These are the small companies that supply goods to large exporters or directly export a small amount. They neither have the bank balance of large companies, nor can they easily find new markets. Many MSMEs' entire business depended on American orders. This one decision has made their products unviable overnight. They now have only two options: either work at a huge loss or close their units. This crisis is weakening the roots of India's industrial ecosystem, because these small enterprises are the biggest source of innovation and employment. Another effect of this crisis is also visible on the Indian rupee. As soon as the tariff was announced, the stock market crashed and the rupee weakened against the dollar. A weaker rupee means that it will become expensive for us to buy crude oil, machinery, and other essential goods from abroad. This can further increase inflation in the country. Thus, this tariff is starting a vicious cycle. Exports decreased, jobs were lost, GDP fell, the rupee weakened, and inflation increased. This is a multifaceted crisis, the impact of which is being felt in every corner of the economy, and its burden on the common man's pocket is constantly increasing. In the face of such a big crisis, one cannot sit idly by. The Indian government and industry have started working together on a counter-strategy to deal with this economic attack. The government's first step is to provide immediate relief to the affected sectors. For this, a large financial package has been announced, which includes easy loans for exporters, tax breaks, and other incentives. For example, the government has reduced GST rates on affected products so that their cost can be somewhat reduced, and they can compete a little in the international market. This is like providing first aid, so that industries can be saved immediately. But government help alone will not be enough. The real and permanent solution is market diversification, that is, reducing dependence on America and looking for new markets. Indian exporters are now working hard to find new buyers in Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia, and European countries. The government is also helping them in this effort and is trying to accelerate trade agreements with these countries. This is a long and difficult process because building new markets and establishing trust does not happen overnight. But this crisis is also a lesson that we should not have put all our eggs in one basket. Apart from relief measures and market diversification, India is also playing its cards at the geopolitical level. In response to this move by America, India has intensified its talks with countries like China and Russia. This is a signal that if trade interests are hurt, India will not hesitate to form new alliances by moving away from its traditional foreign policy. Plans to increase trade with Russia and trade in local currencies are part of this strategy. This is an attempt to send a message to America that India cannot be isolated, and it also has friends on the global stage. In conclusion, the 50% tariff imposed by America is undoubtedly a huge crisis that has shaken India's export sector. Millions of jobs are at stake, and it is certain to have a negative impact on our GDP. However, this crisis is not so big that India cannot overcome it. If the relief measures provided by the government prove effective and our exporters successfully penetrate new markets, then this shock can be absorbed. This difficult period is also an opportunity for India to make its economy more flexible, self-reliant, and diverse, so that no country can exert such economic pressure in the future.